Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
There is one caveat, Don.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
By now, hopefully, most of you know who he is.
He called me Don. Thanks, Don.
With Paulie, Seton, Fritzy, and, that guy.
Why is Andy Dick on this?
A lot of people told me I should be very happy that I even have McLovin.
You know what's your identity? Talking to Rick Carlisle, the Mavs head coach. Can you do the quick story when your coach, I think it was Casey Jones, forgot your name in the huddle?
You know, he goes, Larry, you're here, and he puts an L, and he goes, Robert, you're here. It's Robert Parrish. He puts an R, and you right here. He puts and he just puts like a scribble mark, like just a, you know. And Larry goes, Casey, I want you to meet Rick. He's been with us for 6 months. You know, Rick, this is Casey.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
I'm so close to being a household name.
This is Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the program. It's a Friday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. I came in and the curtain was lowered over Fritzy's desk. Didn't hear from Fritzy yesterday, so how about the big reveal to see if Fritzy is joining us today? And there he is. Yay!
Let's do it. Let's do this.
Oh, Fritzy's even having something to eat
A
today.
little lozenge. Good to be back.
I like that. Fritzy is back and better than ever.
Thanks for your patience and excited to be here on a Friday and feeling a lot better.
All right. Well, it's a Friday Fritzy, and we've got 3 guests today, so look out. You've been warned. That's 3 more guests than I think we had yesterday.
Oh.
Whoa, shots fired already.
1.5 minutes into the show.
Roy Williams will join us, North Carolina head coach. It hasn't been a good year for Roy. He's got Duke coming up this weekend. Jay Bilas is going to join us, the popular Jay Bilas, the ESPN college hoop analyst. He's at my alma mater, University of Dayton. Word has it that Dayton is a good basketball team. And the college game day guys finally got around to learning that. So they're going to be on campus today, and they'll do their show there tomorrow. Demaurice Smith heads up the NFL Players Association. I was kind of surprised, pleasantly surprised that he had time to join us. He wasn't available the last couple of days, but maybe they're starting to feel a little bit better about what's happening. Maybe it's a victory lap for the NFL Players Association. So Demaurice Smith heads up the NFL Players Association. Will join us coming up as well. If you'd like to get in touch with the program, you can in a variety of ways. You can email, you can dial us up, you can tweet, you can watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, and, of course, Fox Sports Radio, our 362 radio affiliates around the country. We got a play of the day, stat of the day, and McLovin promises a good poll question today.
I have one that's very relevant to you.
Oh, all right. Well, hold off on that.
Yes.
All right. Let me start with the Al Michaels situation. The hot stove period was a term that originated in baseball, and that was used to describe the offseason, all the moves that were being made. And now it's become a huge deal in every sport. Like we have a hot stove league for all sports, including broadcasting. And we've got rumor mills, not quite sure if this is true or not, but I'm hearing. Now, it really took off when CBS signed Tony Romo for $17 million a year. Then the news came out that CBS actually looked at Peyton Manning. Remember when we heard the salary for Peyton Manning, that it was somewhere between 10 and 12 million, but you got Romo for 17? And maybe I've got it out of order, or that ESPN was looking at Peyton Manning for 10 to 12 million dollars a year. And I went, first of all, if you offer him 10 to 12 million dollars a year, the first thing Peyton's going to say is, I want more than Tony Romo if you want me to do this. I got a couple of Super Bowl rings here. I'm the one that originated all at the line of scrimmage. I'll tell you what's happening in real time. ESPN also reportedly interested in Phillip Rivers. Now, I think Phillip Rivers might turn out to be sneaky good. He's different than Peyton is. I think, just his delivery, got a little bit of that southern drawl to him, and I think he's sneaky funny. And he could be prickly there probably in the broadcast booth. But now we're, listening to I thought Drew Brees, if Drew Brees got a good enough offer, that maybe he was going to go into the broadcast booth. I have no inside knowledge on this, but I thought if he was going to be deciding not to come back and the CBS job was open or the Monday night job was open, that maybe Drew Brees would take that. But he would be leaving a very good team, and that's why he's coming back to play. But now we have trade rumors here. Al Michaels was once traded by ESPN ABC to NBC, and he was traded for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. True story, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Now, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is revered by the Disney family because Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was the precursor to Mickey Mouse back in the 1920s. And they wanted to have those rights. And you had Al Michaels, one of the great play-by-play voices in the history of sports, traded. And now there's talk that maybe ESPN ABC is going to try to trade back for Al Michaels. I don't know if Oswald the Lucky Rabbit gets back in the deal again, but they want to try to pair him because Peyton's not going to do this unless he's got a great play-by-play voice with him. I was told that last night, that who Peyton would love, from what I was told, to be paired with Mike Tirico. Well, Mike Tirico does so many things for NBC Sports, that NBC Sports would be crazy to have Mike involved in a deal. Plus, Al Michaels has been doing this a long time. I think Al would like to stay around, do one more Super Bowl here. And ESPN, ABC trying to get a Super Bowl here. If Peyton could work with Mike Tirico, because I think Peyton, from what I was told, Peyton had talked to John Gruden, and Gruden said, if you can work with Mike Tirico, do so. Well, then Mike, of course, went to NBC, and Mike's not even doing the football game on Sunday night. He's doing the studio hosting duties. But now the possibility of, and we did reach out to Al, and Al is out of pocket today. I don't know if Al's ever been out of pocket, but he is today, and that's probably a smart thing. That's a smart thing, Al. Stay out of pocket today. But, yeah, we were curious if he was willing to come on and talk about that. But if you're Al, you got a Super Bowl coming up in 2 years, and you want to be around for that, to do that instead of being traded to ESPN ABC. Plus, Al wouldn't be a long-term solution for a network whose deal is up in 2 years. And you're looking at a 10-year deal with the players. How long will the TV deal be? How long does Al want to do this? But if you can get Peyton, and if I'm Peyton Manning, I say to Al, if this happens, how long do you want to do this, Al? Because that would influence my decision if I really wanted to do this. You're going to get paid, but I want to know who's with me. The reason why Romo works so well is because of Jim Nantz. And it's lost on a lot of viewers, and I understand that. But being in the business to understand just how important the timing of that, what Jim Nantz does is not to be underrated. Because Tony can kind of blurt out things as if he's a fan at home. And then Jim has to sort of clean up the spill in aisle 6. It's like an air traffic controller. You got planes landing at all the time, different runways. Jim takes it from Tony to get it back to the game, call the action, and then give it back to Tony. That was so important, I think, to Tony Romo. You can go to Monday Night Football. Who are you going to be paired with? And will it work the same way? And it won't work the same way, whether it's Joe Tessitore or Mike Tirico or whoever it might be. It won't work the same way. It works with Jim. Now, Peyton's going to want to know, hey, who's going to be the play-by-play guy? And I'm going to guess if you're getting Peyton, you're going to have to go out and get an established voice. Sean McDonough didn't work. And he didn't work for a couple of reasons. Not that he's not a great voice there and a professional. He's a college voice. And he and Gruden didn't get along. They weren't friends the way Gruden and Tirico got along. They were friends. And that helps. It's that relationship when you go in there, that trust that you have. It's no different than when I anchored the 11 o'clock Sports Center with Keith Olbermann. When we got on the air, we were friends and had each other's backs. And we had respect for one another. Like, you have to have that camaraderie. And I think that's important. If you're Peyton going into this situation, who's my voice? Who's that guy? And Al Michaels will make him look even greater. Yeah, Paul.
So Al Michaels is kind of the Tom Brady of sportscasters right now. First ballot, sure thing. You know what you're getting. He's the best, truly the best. But his shelf life is a small amount of years, 3-4 years, or whatever that Al wants to do. He's still got his complete fastball. But it's like Brady. Your ESPN's going to put it all their dough in for him and Peyton. But how long does that go?
Yeah, I think it's a little tricky. But, this is a report out of the New York Post with Andrew Marchand. And he's been breaking some stories here. This isn't just I'm hearing. This isn't just a rumor. This is real. And I don't know if you're NBC, you have Mike Tirico to then do the play-by-play role on Sunday Night Football. ESPN doesn't have that luxury. They're trying to say to the NFL, treat us like the other networks, not a cable network. And that's where you have ABC involved in this. Whenever you hear these negotiations, it's ABC/ESPN. And trying to they want to dress up Monday Night Football and try it one more time. I'm surprised the information got out, because if you whiff on this and then you whiffed on Romo, and then what is next? So then now we're plan C. And then do you go back to Booger McFarland and Joe Tessitore? Is that what you're going to That's the distinct possibility here. I don't know if you're too far down the road where you go, we're moving on from that team. I don't know. I don't know the inner workings on this with ESPN. I don't have anybody up there that I've spoken to, but you're starting to get the feeling that if you're going to attract the Super Bowl as the NFL and looking at its broadcast partners, all your other networks have an established A team. Fox with Aikman and Buck, NBC with Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, CBS with Romo and Jim Nantz. ESPN/ABC does not have that. Question is, can you get it? And what's Al Michaels worth on the open market if you're going to trade for him again? Yeah, Paul.
Dan, with this kind of money being thrown around, you should throw your name in the pot.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
Yeah.
Come on, big guy.
No, if this was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, then maybe at the height of Sports Center. Yes, McLovin.
You know what? The part that sticks out to me that you described, Al Michaels, you don't even know that ESPN's getting that Super Bowl in 2024. Doesn't he have to do the sure thing, the LA Super Bowl, his hometown?
But I don't know how long he wants to do it. But I would guess that Al, and I wasn't told this, but Mike Tirico has to be looking at that Super Bowl in 2 years as maybe Al's last game, maybe the handoff there. Because Mike came over, Mike wants to do play-by-play. Mike's not a studio host. Mike's a play-by-play guy. That's what he loves doing. Now, he does a great job as a studio host with the Olympics and Sunday Night Football. He wants to do play-by-play. He's the guy who would go to Iowa City on a Tuesday night and had no problems. He'd go to Happy Valley and do a basketball game. He didn't care. That's what he loves. That's what he's made for. But I don't know. At some point, I don't know how long Mike Tirico's contract is, but Mike might go, hey, do you want me to do play-by-play here? Because that's what I would want to know. Because he's busy, but he wants to do play-by-play. All right, 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. McLovin, what is the poll question that is somehow related to me?
Okay, well, there's a college basketball poll question.
Okay.
So Dayton is hosting game day this weekend.
Yeah.
Would you rather have your alma mater win the NCAA tournament or win your office pool?
My alma mater. Yeah.
Is that a no-brainer for everybody? What if it's like a $5,000 office pool?
Well, now you're upping the ante here.
Well, that's what most office pools are like.
Not ours. Ours are just for bragging rights. Now, would I rather win our office pool or have Dayton win the national title? I'd rather have Dayton win the national title.
What if you're like, you work somewhere where there is a $5,000 office pool?
I'd still rather have Dayton win the national title. And Seton would probably rather have Seton Hall win the national title, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd rather have that? Well, wait. Seton Hall or West Virginia?
Seton Hall for sure.
Okay.
It's not even close.
Okay.
Just knowing how much that would mean to people like my dad, who, I mean, are just diehard supporters, who still remember everything with Michigan. You don't really get this opportunity. It's not like, it's not like we're talking about Duke. You're talking about Seton Hall basketball. To have them win that is worth way more than $5,000.
What is our bet going to be? Who goes farther in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we can do that.
And then what happens?
Yeah, well, we have a week or two to figure that out.
Maybe people. No, you know what? When we have suggestions, and somebody will say you got to shave off one eyebrow or something.
You have to get a tattoo of the logo on your neck. Like, nobody's doing that.
Well, we got to the point with Wheel of Punishment where we were doing some crazy things, and then there was the shower of shame. Paulie, remember when he shaved the lightning bolt in the back of his head?
I pick up my kids, and they were going to get ready to call 911.
Yeah. Yes, Todd.
You could do something fun, which isn't too painful, that you dress as the mascot, or if Seton's team wins, then you got to dress as a pirate, and he's got to dress as a pilot or something if the Flyers win.
Don't you always try to avoid any of these contests?
I do.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to miss a lot of them, but I did get caught a couple of times.
If that's the case, I don't need your suggestions. Then.
Ooh.
Yeah, until you're in the game,
Wow.
then you're not in the game. But welcome back, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah, we sort of missed you.
Sort of.
Luke in Alabama joins us. Hey, Luke. Hey, Luke.
To weigh in with a white-hot report here.
Oh, this is a report, not a rumor?
This is a report from the South. I'm hearing Peyton Manning pairing up with Eli Manning, and they're bringing back the legendary Dan Patrick to save Monday Night Football.
Oh, no.
I'm hearing this. No. I am hearing from my sources.
Well, thank you, Luke. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, not interested. Not interested.
Patrick Spurns ESPN offer.
No, not interested. Not a play-by-play guy. But if you want to have Eli and Peyton in there, look, this is a drop in the bucket with what the NFL means for ESPN. Peyton's salary is a drop in the bucket. Now, ESPN has always been very cautious that they never wanted to overpay for any of their talents, because then somebody else would come in and say, hey, I want to get paid what that guy's getting paid, and I want to get paid. They always kept you under their thumb. With Peyton or Tony Romo, this is different. Yeah, I don't know if Kirk Herbstreit's agent all of a sudden says, well, if you're giving Peyton that. Now, if Chris Collinsworth's agent would probably then go to NBC and say, I'm the one who wins all the awards for best color analyst here. Or Troy Aikman would say that. I'm not only a better quarterback than Tony Romo, I'm a better analyst. Maybe that's what Troy's approach would be. But those guys are going to get paid. There's a trickle down with that. Yeah, McLovin.
I had another poll option. I don't think we put this up. Which color analyst would you most want on a big game? I don't want you to weigh in because I know you know these guys. But if we put a poll out with Romo, Aikman, Collinsworth, and put Peyton Manning in as a hypothetical, who wins that poll? I'd venture a guess that Romo right now is the hot guy.
Yeah. I think Peyton, we know how funny he can be. And I know how analytical he can be. And to be able to have that combination, like Tony Romo, part of what I love about Tony is there's excitement in his voice. Like he's really excited when he's doing a game, as if he's a fan who somehow slipped in the booth and then gets to tell us what's going to happen. And, I think Peyton he might be too serious at the start, but also he has that, we know that he has a great sense of humor. And I think Peyton would be unbelievable as an analyst. I really do. Because he's the one who started walking to the line of scrimmage and going, I'm going to call this play, or did I just check down? Did I change the play? I'm going to do this. Omaha. He did all of this and was successful. Tony Romo may have known what was happening. He wasn't anywhere near as successful. Peyton, I think, going to the line of scrimmage and then being able to tell you in real time, I think there's great value in that. Yeah, Paul.
One thing about Romo is we didn't see this coming. When he signed that big deal and he's going to get that prime job, we're like, really? He was pretty benign with the media during his NFL career. He's very cautious with the media. Nobody saw it coming. That first week he was on the air, I can remember the show that Monday. Everyone's like, what the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Where'd this come from?
Yeah. And he was calling a couple of plays. He was saying, oh, you know what? They're changing the play. And they're going to run to the right. Or there's going to be a trick play here. And I think that's, look, it's unique. I'm not saying that every analyst should try to do that, but I think Romo is unique. But I think Peyton would do it maybe in a different way. All right, we'll take a break here. Your phone calls are welcome, 877-3DP Show. And we'll come up with a poll question. Got a play of the day coming up. A couple of stats of the day. Happy birthday to Shaquille O'Neal, 48 years of age. Happy birthday, Shaq. Take a break. No, happy birthday. Take a break. Back after this on the Dan Patrick Show. It's something amazing. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year automatically. No limit on how much you can earn. How amazing is that? It's even more amazing because of all the places where Discover is accepted. Over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards take Discover. This according to the 2019 Nielsen report. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing the word yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. And yes, limitations apply. Patrick Show brought to you by TrueCar. Shoppers save an average of over $3,500 off MSRP. See what other people paid for the car you want. The new TrueCar. Buy smarter, drive happier. Got some new T-shirts, new gear available. Dan Patrick Show app, fresh tees for the St. Patrick's Day Festival. Shout out to Mookie Betts as well. We got a T-shirt for him. And we have classics in there like McLovin's Broken Glasses. You can find them all at danpatrick.com. Got a poll question we're going to stick with, McLovin, for a little while?
Yeah, I think we should do the broadcaster. I'll give you Tony Romo, Chris Collinsworth, Troy Aikman, and Peyton Manning. How about we word it, which one would you hire if you could have all four for your network?
Okay.
I think, Peyton has an edge too because he's the unknown. He's like the Luka Doncic coming into the draft.
The Luka Doncic. I like how the story, I don't know where it started, but yesterday, or at least it was a question, if you were going to build your team around Zion or Luka, who would it be? And we've talked about this before with Reggie Miller, but I saw where a few of the networks, a few of the shows were talking about this, and I was surprised there were quite a few people who said Zion Williamson over Luka. Zion's a phenomenon. You just have to say the word Zion, and everybody knows who you're talking about. I don't know how he evolves as a player. I think what he does, if he continues to do that and improve on that, he's going to be an all-star, his entire career and be a Hall of Famer. Luka, to me, is the better player. He might not be as exciting, but he makes players around him better. He's played more basketball, professional basketball, than Zion has. Zion, you watch because you don't know. There could be something spectacular. I think Luka is just going to be one of those players where you go, I said this yesterday. He's 21, and it feels like we already know what. We're not surprised by anything. Oh, he put up 30, 17, and 10. Oh. 30, 17, and 10. Oh. Zion could go 5 for 18, but have 3 highlight dunks and a block. And we'd go, did you see Zion last night? That's the difference. But if I was building around somebody, I'd look at it 2 different ways. Zion is a phenomenon. People will come out to see him. Luka's a better basketball player, and I think will make your team better because he does a variety of things. He's obviously a better shooter than Zion, a better ability to score, and he's a better passer. Zion, of course, is going to score and rebound. But, I would take Luka there. But there were quite a few people that I respect who said that they would build around Zion Williamson, which I don't know if there's a wrong answer there. But if I gave you all of these players, Luka, Zion, Trae Young, Jason Tatum, who else do I have in that mix? Has to be somebody who's about 20. I mean, I guess you can say Ja Morant. I haven't seen enough of Ja Morant.
Karl Anthony Towns under 25.
Yeah, but I don't like his game. I think he's talented. I just think he's going to be one of those guys who puts up good numbers but has nothing to show for it. Tatum's in the conversation now.
Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I guess you'd throw him in there. You could throw in Embiid, but,
Giannis is age-old 25. I guess he aged out.
Yeah. Well, if you're just looking at 22 and under, who would you take?
I think Embiid's a little older because, remember, he stayed in college?
Yeah. I wouldn't build around Embiid. I think he's incredibly talented, but I just don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know how important it is to be great. He can tell me he's one of the great players in the world. I want him to be. The Greek Freak, to me, wants to be great. He worked on his game to get here. And I'm impressed by that because he came in and he was nobody. He weighed 180 pounds. And now you're looking at him and you're going, he looks like a younger Dwight Howard with a whole lot more ability. Yeah, Paul.
Embiid's still 25 years old. But last year, if you think that he's not in great shape and not focused, which a lot of people think, he averaged 27.5, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks without giving max effort. Oh, my God. That's why people love him so much.
But I don't know if he's a winner. I just don't know. That, I'll kill to win. I hate losing. I always wanted somebody who hated losing more than they loved winning because you can win, but it's that feeling when you lose and it drives you crazy. I mean, Jerry West was like that as a player and as a GM. He just hated losing. The winning, didn't placate him as much as the losing ate away at him. The fact that he couldn't stay in the building for a Laker game, that he would get in his car and drive around because it would just eat him up. I love that in somebody where you hate losing. And I don't know if Embiid is wired that way. Yes, McLovin.
There was a game where the Celtics and Sixers played in the playoffs, and Embiid had like 31 or something. And after the game, Brad Stevens said, yeah, but he didn't hit any threes against us, so what do we care if he gets those points? Which talks about style. Like, that's why you take Luke over Zion. Don't you need the three-pointer to win at this level? Like Kawhi has it.
Charles Barkley tweeted out after the Rockets had a embarrassing performance last night against the Clippers. He called them a little bunch of leprechauns. They're going to get worn down over a 7-game series, and when you start playing elite teams, they're going to be just as good offensively, but much better defensively and on the rebounds. But they went 7 for 42 from three-point range last night. That's really hard to do. Like, even a bad team would have a hard time going 7 for 42. And this is the Rockets and what the Rockets do well. And this is back-to-back games where you lose to the Knicks, now you lose to the Clippers. And they're going to figure this out. They're going to be dangerous on some nights. It's just, I don't know if they can be consistent. In a 7-game series, do they have a plan B? Because a lot of these teams, this isn't working, let's try this. And Houston doesn't have that. They have one way, and that's it. And that's where I would be nervous about small ball in the postseason. Regular season, it can work. It's fun. In a postseason 7-game series against the Lakers or the Clippers, it's not going to work. There'll be games where you go, they're unstoppable, because we've already had those games. But last night, you go 7 for 42. You're going to have those games in the postseason where you don't shoot well. What else do you do well? And I think that's going to be the big question for them. Steph Curry came back last night. That was a lot of fun to see. Now, it's just the league is a better league, more entertaining when Steph Curry's playing. He had 23, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, just 1 turnover, played 27 minutes there. You still see what he's capable of doing on a nightly basis. And then, they get healthy with Klay Thompson next year. Then there's Draymond Green in there. I don't know about Wiggins. Wiggins had a nice night. I thought Wiggins could be a great player. I thought he was going to be, because Cleveland had him, and then they, made the trade for Kevin Love. And I thought, boy, it feels like they're going to regret that. But I don't know how Wiggins is wired. And I don't know if he wants to be great. They all think they're great. They want you to tell them they're great, but I don't know if you just want to go out there and, like, Steph Curry wants to play because that's what he does. When people say, why would you come back? This is what I do. I want to come back. I want to play. Yeah, McLovin.
So if they get the number 1 pick, would they trade that pick for a veteran, or do they draft a guy? Like, what's their game plan? Like, would you go for a title immediately and trade for someone?
Well, it depends on who's there, because I don't think there's anybody that Golden State's going to go, got to have him. Oh, if we get him, like James Wiseman, the Memphis kid, I don't know. He's a 7-footer. He runs the floor, but does he fit in with their style? Does LaMelo Ball fit in there? I don't know. Because D'Angelo Russell, and I remember when they made that deal, when they signed D'Angelo Russell, and I think we had Mark Stein on from the New York Times, and he said, oh, they just signed him so they can trade him. And then everybody denied it, and then it turned out that's what they did. They traded him, to Minnesota. I don't know if there's one of those players that it's going to be worth having the number 1 pick. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like there are players that can play, but I don't think there's anybody who is, a transformative talent there that's going to help Golden State. They probably would want to get a veteran, I'm guessing, unless they look at it and say, we need a little bit more youth here because we have guys who are in their 30s. Now, I don't know what the approach for Steve Kerr would be, but they usually make the correct approach. Yeah, McLovin.
How about LaMelo Ball as the heir apparent to Steph Curry? Are you drafting a young Steph Curry? Be good for headlines in the offseason.
Yeah.
You've watched him a little.
I've watched him.
Positive on him.
Well, his freshman year in high school. I watched him and I said, he's got a chance to be better than his brothers. And at the time, LiAngelo was the guy getting 60 points in a game. But I said, when this kid grows, he's got talent. He's got athleticism. He has horrible game management, with his shots. Like, I watched one of their state playoff games, and I went, you got to be kidding me. My coach would pull me, if just one shot that I attempted, and he probably took 10. But I do think, he's matured, he's gotten bigger, and he's going to play in the NBA. I just don't know how good he is. I think he got into bad habits. Lonzo is a good player. He's a smart player. LaMelo just ran around. And LiAngelo, all he did is just shoot. He was a scorer, didn't do much else. And then we didn't get a chance to see him play at UCLA. But that was fun last night watching Steph Curry. You got basketball tonight with the Bucks at the Lakers, and then the Lakers and Clippers coming up on Sunday. It's a nice little weekend for Laker fans. North Carolina and Duke, that will be on Saturday. We'll talk to Roy Williams, the head basketball coach, coming up in the final hour of the program. All right, we got our poll question, I believe. Is that right, McLovin?
Yeah, I put up which color analyst would you hire? I gave you Romo, Collinsworth, Aikman, and Peyton Manning.
All right. Do we have early results on that?
I will check right now. Is there? By the way, did I miss anyone? I feel bad. I'm just going with they call it the A team, right?
Yeah, your number one broadcast team. I mean, it's really who does the marquee game. Who would do a Super Bowl for a network? That's what this is.
Peyton leading 1, Collinsworth 2, Romo 3rd, all really tightly packed.
Okay. All right. We'll get to phone calls coming up. 877-3DP show. Got our poll question. And play of the day is coming up next year on the Dan Patrick Show.
tonight at my house, everyone's coming by for the Iditarod Musher draft. Here's some shots from last year's action. Got the little booties there.
Do we have to dress up in big parka coats with the fur hood and everything, or just come as you are to watch the Iditarod?
Come as you are, Toddler.
Bring
the virus. And it ends up in Nome, Alaska, as we all know. Now, just a little, as we all know, some of the mushers, I mean, this is a list of some of the mushers that are on my big board. Some of the people you want to keep an eye on: Peter Kaiser, Mitch Seavey, Dallas Seavey, relatives, of course. They've won a lot of them over the years. There's a lot of big name people. You want to look at the odds, you want to break it down, you want to see how people are doing training.
I like Monica Zappa in the bottom right with that hat.
Yeah, she's very, she knows what she's doing. So there's the big board.
How about Lev Sharts there in the bottom row?
Yeah, Lev Sharts.
You know what happens out there on the open prairie?
He gets nervous.
I think Lev Sharts.
Fritzy should, my favorite. Fritzy should get him in the territorial draft.
Don't forget it. That's my guy.
You got him.
I want to be his publicist.
He's yours.
Can I represent him?
He's yours.
Yeah, Lev Sharts, ready to go.
Welcome.
Shartsy. Schwartzy. It's Schwartz, guys.
Yeah.
You think how many times in his life do you think he's got? It's Schwartz.
That's not what we heard.
Close enough, Lev.
That's not what we heard, lady.
Not Sharts. Schwartz.
It's Schwartz.
It's Schwartz.
That seems like a tough sport to do for the first time. Like if you were going to enter the Iditarod for the first time, you got to have a lot of years of experience.
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! We're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day.
Check this out.
With a mismatch on the smaller Lowry. Got Hackett. Oh, we got the three! How about that? 7-0 run by Golden State.
Clock running down. Steph Curry. See, we can't call this desperation shots from him because he can make them, right?
Steph scores 23 in 27 minutes. Little Mark Morrison return to the MAC, courtesy of TNT. Warriors hosting the Sixers coming up tomorrow night. That is your play of the day. Play of the day brought to you by Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. Shipping, returns, exchanges, free and easy. Tecovas boots, handmade, full-grain leathers, world-class boot makers. And Tecovas cuts out the middleman, sells directly to you at amazing prices. Tecovas Western Goods for new frontiers. Let me see. A couple of phone calls in here. Nick in Texas. Hey, Nick, what do you have for me today?
Hey, weighing in at 5'6", 165, whopping. So going back to what you're talking about with Zion and building around them, I would not build around Zion. I forget who said it, what analyst, but he's just too explosive all the time. He's going to be injured too much. He played preseason and didn't make it out of that without an injury. I just don't think he's going to last if he keeps going at this rate of explosiveness.
All right. Well, thank you, Nick. Yeah, I wasn't looking at that. You know, there's the health factor, but, you know, Luka's been banged up a little bit as well. But, you know, Zion with the knee surgery, is he going to get bigger? And by the way, Luka is full grown too at 21 years of age. Usually you get guys that you look back and you go, boy, he was pretty skinny when he was 20, 21. You're going to fill out. You know, it's rare when you don't. Kevin Durant never did. Kevin Durant is basically the same size, or feels like same size he was when he was at Texas. And that was the knock. Oh, is he going to be able to withstand the rigors of the NBA? Why is it all these guys that we question if they can withstand the rigors of the game, like Steve Nash and Steph Curry and Trae Young, Kevin Durant, they're all going to the Hall of Fame. Allen Iverson, they're all Hall of Famers. Oh, can they withstand the rigors? Yeah, I guess they can. They've sort of withstood the rigors of the game prior to getting to the NBA, so I'm going to guess they're kind of adept at how you survive. Yes, McLovin.
And all the big guys get hurt, like Embiid.
Yeah.
So it's the exact opposite of what we expect.
Yeah, Paul.
It seems to play that way in the NFL, too, until the past few years, that the little quarterbacks, he'll never be able to hang there in the pocket and take that beating. Kyler Murray will never be able – well, he doesn't hang in the pocket. He takes off. Russell Wilson doesn't hang in the pocket.
It's the big quarterback who's usually hanging in the pocket. You're a big target when you're a big quarterback. I saw the odds. Vegas, the Superbook in Vegas has received a lot of interest on the Niners and their odds of signing Tom Brady. The reason why I bring it up, 100 to 1 down to 12 to 1. You know who could make this go away very quickly? Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan hasn't said anything publicly, I don't think, where he goes, we're not interested in Tom. Love Tom and hope he becomes a Niner fan when he retires. We have our quarterback, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Haven't heard that. Any reason why? It's because the Niners are interested in Tom Brady. They are. They are.
Sorry, as a reaction.
No, they are. They are interested. I had a text back and forth with somebody last night, and I don't want to say his name, but I will say that he is certainly involved in this whole Tom Brady situation. And I said, I think he's staying with the Patriots. And he said, and I said, do you want to bet? And he said, whatever you want to bet, I'll bet you that Brady leaves. And I went, oh, all right. And that caught me by surprise, because I thought, maybe he would hedge his bets a little bit. And he said, no, he thinks Brady's gone. And I wonder, and we talked about this back and forth. I said, do you think that it was just a courtesy call with Belichick and Brady? And his feeling was maybe that's all that was. Is it didn't go well, wasn't fruitful. That was the report. But did Belichick make that call just to say we made that call? Because it feels like some of this could end if the Patriots go, hey, Tom, whatever you want, we want you to stay. Whatever you think is going to be best for you and this team, we want to make that happen. Right? Then there's no more drama here. If the Niners say, Jimmy Garoppolo is our quarterback, like this is laughable. Now, some of the Niners players have been public with their support with Jimmy Garoppolo. But that makes sense. Because if you don't get Brady and you go into that locker room and you see Garoppolo, I'd be going, nobody had my back here, guys. So George Kittle, I think there are a couple of players who have come out and said some nice things about Jimmy Garoppolo. If Kyle Shanahan says, this is my guy, we're not interested in Tom Brady, then this goes away from San Francisco's perspective. Tennessee's in the game because Tennessee's looking at if we get Brady, but it's a delicate balance here because you don't want to lose out on Brady and then you lose out on Tannehill. And I say that losing out on Tannehill, but he was a good story for them last year. That's not who you want to build around as your quarterback. But if he's going to be kind of the fallback plan here, then I understand that. But this is delicate. When you do this for the Patriots, once you get to free agency, I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to bring back Brady. It feels like if it gets to free agency, then Brady's probably gone. Because don't they have a salary cap hit with Brady? It's like $13.5 million once we get there to free agency. So you're on the clock there to kind of see what Tom wants to do. But he's still unofficially fielding offers here, I'm going to guess. And, even last night, somebody says, you keep ruling out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't do that. And I go, I just can't see. If he's going to play 2 more years, it's not a money grab because he's going to get paid. This is about winning another championship and doing it without Bill Belichick. Where can you win a championship over the next 2 years aside from New England? Unless he's the backup quarterback in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, I don't know the better place. Maybe it's San Francisco. Maybe. But it feels like New England gives him the best chance. Yeah, Paul.
I heard 2 different reports on 2 different networks this morning that there's a mystery team involved with Tom Brady. But the reporters didn't tell what the mystery team was. So how do you get that information and then disseminate it? I'm hearing there's another team. But you got to get that team.
Well, no, the agent for Tom Brady can say, we got another team, but we don't want it out there.
Do you think that's faux? Do you think that's real?
Oh, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what's real and not. I go back to the Cowboys, and I laughed at that. Then the Giants came up. So we've had faux reports here. But I think you're starting to – there's a little more consistency with the Titans and the Niners. Now, maybe the Colts are the Colts have the best offensive line. If you're Brady and you go down and you have a checklist, you go, okay, best weapons. Tampa can make a case sort of with San Francisco because you got a tight end there that you really like. But then Tampa has O.J. Howard. If I'm Brady, I go, okay, what do I have to protect me? You got a great offensive line. What kind of weapons do I have? Who is my coach? What style do they play? Do I have a playoff caliber defense there? Am I playing indoors half the games? What's the weather going to be like? Where am I going to have my family? Like, these are things that, common sense would just go, these are items that he's just going to go check, check, check. And, maybe that's why you got 8 teams. He's looking at them. And although I don't think it's 8, I think it's probably 3 or 4 at the most. But, maybe there's a mystery team that says, hey, once we're allowed to do this officially, we're giving you a 3-year deal. Guaranteed deal. Demaurice Smith, head of the NFL Players Association. Join us in 10 minutes. We'll also check in with Jay Bilas. And Roy Williams, North Carolina head coach, will join us coming up as well. 1 hour in the books, 2 more to go. And once again, it's great to have Todd back. Really is, Todd.
I appreciate it.
You're going to stay around?
I'm going to stick around another hour and a half or so.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
There is one caveat, Don.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
By now, hopefully, most of you know who he is.
He called me Don. Thanks, Don.
With Paulie, Seton, Fritzy, and, that guy.
Why is Andy Dick on this?
A lot of people told me I should be very happy that I even have McLovin.
You know what's your identity? Talking to Rick Carlisle, the Mavs head coach. Can you do the quick story when your coach, I think it was Casey Jones, forgot your name in the huddle?
You know, he goes, Larry, you're here, and he puts an L, and he goes, Robert, you're here. It's Robert Parrish. He puts an R, and you right here. He puts and he just puts like a scribble mark, like just a, you know. And Larry goes, Casey, I want you to meet Rick. He's been with us for 6 months. You know, Rick, this is Casey.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave.
I'm so close to being a household name.
This is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Friday, and Fritzy has made it through 1 hour, and looks like he's going to stay around for another hour.
The plan is to do 2/3 more of this fine program.
All righty. Well, we're glad to have you on this Meet Friday coming up. We'll talk to the head of the NFL Players Association, Demaurice Smith. We'll also talk to Jay Bilas, great college basketball analyst, and North Carolina head coach Roy Williams will join us in the final hour of the program. North Carolina has Duke coming up this weekend. If you'd like to watch, you can. You have no excuse now. Everybody has YouTube, youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, all 3 hours. And now we have, I believe, 13 or 14 cameras in here. We're following everybody doing everything. And some things they probably shouldn't do or we shouldn't show on TV. But that's the fun of it. Also, Fox Sports Radio, proud to be in their lineup, and our great radio affiliates around the country. And we got a poll question, McLovin, if you'll get to the question and the results.
Okay, if you could hire one color analyst, who would it be? Peyton Manning is leading, then Collinsworth and Romo are second and third, and then Aikman is fourth.
Okay. Caleb in Oregon joins us. Good morning, Caleb. What do you have for us?
Hey, Dan, just a little story to brighten your Friday up. Yesterday I called into the Dave Ramsey show, the personal finance guru. And when I got on air, he said, Caleb in Oregon, what do you got for me today? And I started off by saying, hey, Dave, 5'10", 1. Oh, sorry, wrong show.
That's funny. Well, thank you, Caleb. Thank you for calling in, giving us your height and weight. And people want to know, where did that come from? That came from Rob Dibble. When Rob Dibble, the former relief pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, he was just health conscious, lifting weights, and he would always come in and tell me how much he weighed. And it just got to the point where we started making fun of it, and then the audience, which is, you know, a very smart audience, they called in and started giving their height and weight sort of to make fun of Rob Dibble always doing that. And it just continued, whether it was at ESPN or once we started this show, people giving their height and weight. So that's where it came from. The NFL Players Association sent out the collective bargaining agreement to the players yesterday, 456 pages long. And the players have until next Thursday night to vote. Can you read this thing in all 456 pages? You got to give me bullet points or the Cliff Notes version of this just to go through that. But you got until next Thursday night at midnight to vote. And I think I probably speak for the average football fan. We just want to know, what is football going to be like? What are Sundays going to be like? How many games are going to be in a schedule? When does that change? When does playoff football start? The NFL seems to have tailored the contract to appeal to a wider range of players when you think about it. Because Aaron Rodgers, you got Russell Wilson, J.J. Watt, they were vocal that they didn't like this. But I think most players in the league are going, hey, this makes the most sense for me. It's the haves and the have-nots. You need only a little over 50% to push this through, and early reports are it looks like it's going to pass. And again, I don't expect you to dive into the weeds, and when we have, Demaurice Smith on, I don't want to dive into the weeds either. Tell me what I need to know. I was just curious, 17-game schedule. Could you have gotten this deal done without a 17th game? I knew that the playoffs were coming, that we were going to add a couple of wild card teams, so I'm not surprised at that. But if you're a player, I wouldn't want to play another game if I was a player. Now, I understand if you're one of those guys who makes the minimum, you will want to play. But could you have gotten this deal done without that 17th game? And I think that was where the leverage was, getting that 17th game. And you got, some more playoff games as well. I don't even know when the 17-game schedule will go into play because that's kind of tricky in figuring out, do I get an extra home game this year and then it's a road game next year? Demaurice Smith joining us on loan from the NFL Players Association. And good morning, Demaurice. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. How are you? Big shout out to the Danettes. Hope everything's good with you.
Yeah, but I was curious that is this a victory lap you're taking?
Right now, no, I'm in my backyard playing with the dog. So I fly to Miami with our player reps this weekend. The vote is in the hands of the players. We believe in a democracy. So other than the victory lap with me chasing the ball, that's the only victory lap I'm doing right now.
Could you have gotten this deal done without a 17th game?
It was clear from the owners not an early deal. So I just assume you mean the deal that's on the table now.
Yeah.
They conditioned the early deal on a 17th game after they rejected the players' opening proposal to do an early deal based on a 16-game schedule.
Give me the details, though, from the players' perspective on a 17th game. What are the biggest concerns here, besides the obvious one with just an extra game that you can get hurt?
Right. I think that's primarily it. I mean, we certainly don't I haven't talked to many players who would prefer to play a 17th game. I think if players had their druthers, there's some who would want a 14-game schedule. But there's also players that I've talked to who said that a 17th game schedule would be okay if there were X, Y, and Z built around it, and that X, Y, and Z for a union revolves around better wages, better hours, better working conditions, and better benefits. And that's what this deal has in it. And I certainly understand, and nobody understands better than me after going through a lockout in 2011 where the owners wanted to have the unconditional right to move to 18 or even 21 games.
Oh, man.
I certainly understand that fight, and we capped that in 2011, and that was one of the, if you remember, one of the major issues in the 2011 lockout. But coming up with an early deal package that contained many of, if not virtually all, of the top issues that our players identified both during the rep meetings and during the time when I was out with the teams, that's what's on the table. But, this is a democracy, and I understand that democracies can be messy. We can turn on and look at the primaries right now and know that that's true. The men make a decision where everybody is heard and everybody gets an opportunity to vote, and that's all I can ask for.
What happens, though, when you read J.J. Watt, Aaron Rodgers, Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson making public comments about this? Your role after you read or hear those comments is what?
My role doesn't change. I'm a union leader. And, if I look at
but you don't reach out to them individually just to say, hey, share this with me. Let's don't put this out here unless everybody knows exactly what's involved in all of this.
Yeah, you and I have known each other long enough, and I never really talk about my private conversations with players. I see their public mentions, but I guess where I was going with being a union leader is we're in a world where people have platforms to express their opinions, and I would much rather have a world where guys feel free and certainly nobody feels any constrained nature to voice their opinion. I'd rather have that than people who feel like that they're afraid to voice their opinion or fear that there's some sort of retaliation. One thing we can both agree on, we certainly don't have that. So I would much rather live in a world where our guys believe that they have a voice, that this is run like a democracy. And as a union leader, you simply take what people want to say publicly as part of the process.
When is this 17-game schedule going to be implemented?
That depends a lot on when the owners would want to do it. They are looking at the opportunity to literally tear up the current TV deals, which for the most of them don't expire until 2022. They want to negotiate new television deals, preferably with labor peace, because those TV deals will be substantially larger if there's labor peace.
What would be the earliest that we would have a 17-game schedule?
Probably 21 at the earliest.
Okay.
But a lot of that depends, I think, on the television deals, of which the players get 55%.
Why was it so important it felt like this was being expedited, and I got a little nervous as I was looking at this, that if the owners want it and want it expedited, then I worried how good a deal it was.
Yeah, and I think that is probably one of the most unfortunate and incorrect narratives that's out there.
Okay.
We started meeting with our players in 2019, actually going back to 2017, telling them to get ready for a work stoppage. In 2019, we had 3 days with the largest player rep meeting that we've ever had, listing all of the issues that were important to players. In April, May of 2019, those players actually put together a proposal and gave it to the owners. So that was almost a year ago. So this process actually started nearly a year ago, where we took the ideas, and certainly the theme that came out of the meeting last year was we had to do something to take care of the core players, the majority of our players, to make sure that they had better wages, more control over their working conditions, and certainly better benefits. But that process started a year ago. I know that sometimes the public doesn't really focus on things until they bubble up in the media. But to say that this was somehow rushed or expedited is not only not the right narrative. It's just utterly inconsistent with the facts. I think the other thing that perhaps people don't understand is a lot of these negotiations also centered around many of the positives from a new collective bargaining agreement actually going into effect a year early. So our deal doesn't expire until March of 2021. Virtually all of the benefits of this new collective bargaining agreement, including the 20% raise for the core players, goes into effect a year earlier than we would if we waited until expiration.
He's Demaurice Smith, the executive director of the NFL Players Association. A couple things that came to mind when I saw this, like why 10 years, and I don't believe there's an opt-out. And it feels like it's the haves against the have-nots here in your union.
Well, let me do the second one first. I truly believe in this union. I do. And when I took this job over in 2009, I made a commitment to make sure that our players were more involved, and they have been, that players were going to be forced to make decisions, and they have been, and that we were going to be a union that included representation by former players, and thankfully we have a system now that is far more inclusive of all of the rank and file, including former players. So, to your point of the have versus the have-nots and the perception of that, I can't really do anything about the perception. All I know is that Aaron Rodgers is a rep. Kirk Cousins is a rep. When we went through the lockout, Tom Brady was a rep. Drew Brees was on the executive committee. On the other hand, you've got guys like Nick Sundberg and Zach Diassi who are not star players, but they're also reps and on the EC. So I can't really do anything about the perception. I know that our leadership is made up of a cross-section of players, and I'm thrilled about that. To your first question, this is still a democracy, and I'm never going to really apologize for that.
You think you could take Roger Goodell?
Are you talking about arm wrestling,
Yeah.
a race?
How about arm wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
All right. What if you went into the octagon?
Well, I'm a little bit of a germ guy, so the fact that there's already blood on the floor would make me a little squeamish. But other than that, I'm still pretty confident. Yeah.
How about we set that up?
I love the fact that I can expect a completely off the wall.
Well, you know this show, and you're in pretty good shape. I figure, and, Goodell's he's rangy.
He's rangy. He's got a little bit of height on me, and look, I think it would be a pretty good fight. Do I think I'm probably the first person who would cheat? Yes. Isn't that part of the game? Yeah. So if we had to go into an octagon and there was a WWE folding chair nearby, well, that's what you have to use.
Have you ever been mad enough that you wanted to punch him, like in your mind?
Hey, what's your next question?
Yeah.
Hey, yo. Yeah, the closest I get to physical activity now is watching my son play for Maryland lacrosse. That's about as good a shape as I'm in. I can make it into the stands and I can make it out of the stands. That's about it.
Well, good luck with this. You sound pretty good for, we got a little bit of, is there a Cliff Notes version of this, though, Demaurice? Like 456 pages. Come on.
There is a Cliff Notes version that we sent out to all of the players and all of the agents. You know what? I know a guy who knows a guy. I'll make sure I send one to you.
That's great. Thanks. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
And that's Demaurice Smith, NFL Players Association president. I was wondering that because I've been in a negotiation before where you just get to the point where you go, I'd like to just lean over and smack you. I've been there before where you're just going, man, I'd like to smack you. Just us in the room, just smack you. Yeah, Paul.
Is that the reason they had the huge conference room table so you can't go over the top of it in the middle of a corporate takeover?
I don't know. I didn't. I've been in the big room at the mothership where they had a big table. NBC I was across from somebody at a desk, and then I've been across somebody at a desk at the mothership as well, where you're discussing these things. But you just want to go, did you really say that? I'd like to just smack you. I think we should call the commissioner, Roger Goodell, just the arm wrestling question, just to see if the commissioner would join us just to answer one question.
That's fair.
Because I don't want to ask him any other questions. That I might be able to get him on if I just, hey, I'm not going to ask you anything other than arm wrestling. That's it.
We may just get an email statement back, though.
That's okay.
If it's actually going to be a conversation.
I would love for the NFL to issue a statement. The commissioner declines Demaurice Smith's invitation. Are you going to send the email, Todd?
I totally will. If you're cool
sure,
with that, I will
ahead.
send that right now.
Yeah, we just had Demaurice Smith on. He said he could take the commissioner arm wrestling. Would the commissioner care to comment?
You know I'm going to do it.
Or he could join us. Would the commissioner like to join us? That'd be good. Jay Bilas will join us. He's on campus at the University of Dayton, my alma mater, as College Game Day is coming to town. And they'll find an unbelievable environment there. It's always been one of the great home courts in all of college basketball. They got a great team this year. So Jay Bilas will join us coming up. Ben in Indonesia joins us now. Hey, Ben, what's going on?
Hello, Mr. Patrick and Danette. Yes, I'm in Bali, Indonesia. 82 kilograms, 170 centimeters.
All right. Well, welcome to the program. What's going on? Are you able to watch on YouTube?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I've been out here for the last 4 years just listening to the podcast, and that's it. But when you said last week that you're going to be on YouTube, I could not wait until my Friday night, which is now almost Saturday morning, in about 40 minutes, to watch you live and finally be able to call in and just say, thank you for what you do. That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you, Ben.
Also, to chime in on the poll question.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan, so Troy Aikman would be my color commentator. He won 3 Super Bowls for us, of course. Romo did not win enough playoff games, even though he is great at his job. So I would definitely pick Troy Aikman on that as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Ben. We've heard from, fans around the world, and I'm big in Bali, but China, Japan, who else did we hear from? Canada. A lot of Canadians have been able to watch the show. Yes, McLovin.
He brought up Aikman. Didn't Aikman tell you he wants out of the broadcasting game? It just dawned on me that there might be another big opening.
Well, he might go, man, this might be too tough to pass up if that's the going rate. He said he'd like to be a GM at some point.
I thought it sounded sooner rather than later. We could pull the clip. It seems like he really wants to do that.
I got a copy of the Cliff Notes version of the NFL Players Association, the collective bargaining agreement. You know what? I'll keep this for... Oh, yeah, it's here. I've got it. I got the Cliff Notes version. I don't know how many pages it is. Coming up on 21 after the hour, Jay Bilas will join us coming up next, and we'll get to your phone calls. Roy Williams, North Carolina head coach. I was surprised that Roy Williams is coming on because this has not been a good year, and it might not get any better Saturday at Cameron Indoor. But Roy's had a bad year. Almost historically bad year for him and Carolina. So we'll talk to Roy Williams in an hour from now. Take a break. Back after this in the Dan Patrick Show. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year automatically. No limit on how much you can earn, which is amazing.
No limit.
No limit.
I had to get that in. It's been a while.
I know. I appreciate
Sean's been doing a great job filling in for me.
I know. Discover is accepted in over 95% of the places in the United States that take credit cards. And our question is, what's wrong with the other 5% here? Let's get it together.
And how do you stay in business if you keep giving out money to everybody?
I don't know. 2019 Nielsen report gave us that data. Discover.com/yes. Limitations, like Todd, apply. We got a response from the NFL Commissioner's Office. Fritzy sent an email. We had Demaurice Smith on. He's the head of the NFL Players Association. And I said, could you take Roger Goodell and arm wrestling? Fritzy just sent a note to the head of PR with the NFL. And it says, we just had Demaurice Smith on the program last segment. Of course, we'd still love to have the commissioner back on the program. But in the meantime, Dan playfully asked Demaurice Smith if he could take the commissioner in an arm wrestling match. D said that he believes he could. Would the commissioner have a little fun with us and pop on with Dan briefly? Or a response I can share with Dan. And then he gave the studio hotline. Always appreciate the time. And the response you got was?
Thanks, but no thanks.
Okay. All right.
Less than 60 seconds after it was said. You got to respect that.
So not even a statement on the arm wrestling.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Thanks,
That's
but
okay.
no
They respond right away, whether we like the response or not. They always get back to us quickly.
We're slowly breaking them down. Maybe we'll get the commissioner on. I signed up to do this 5 more years. Maybe, do we have the commissioner of the NFL on over the next 5 years?
Is this a real bet? Like a real bet? Like,
yeah.
No way.
The commissioner of the NFL. Well, what if Roger Goodell's not the commissioner? It's somebody else.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think it's been, I got to check, but I think it's been you and he was, I think, 2011.
What happened? Did anything happen between us?
I don't know if I could answer this one.
Oh. All right. Well, I'm just curious because, there's a lot of things that we'll have one side on and we always try to get the other side as well. But we'd love to have the commissioner on. Apparently, there's something Paulie wants to tell me off the air.
I guess we can't get him on any fewer amount of times. I don't think he wants to be on a show where he's going to get actual tough questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, don't bury that. That's
I think
that's a compliment for us.
I think a lot of commissioners, but some commissioners want a soft seat when they do play.
Steve in Spain just emailed to say, hey, I've been here for 2 years, and now I get to watch the show. And it's made the transition from American life to Spanish life a lot easier. Love you guys on YouTube. Keep up the great work. Thank you. All right. Well, that's very nice. We're hearing from fans around the world, including Jay Bilas, ESPN college basketball analyst. You can see Jay Bilas tomorrow morning on College Game Day, live from the University of Dayton. They start at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I like how the promo says you can see Jay, but nobody else, apparently, on that show. that's really nice, Jay.
Well, it's kind of like your show is promoted. I don't see a lot about the Danettes being out front.
Oh, they get a lot of attention here. They get a lot of far more than they should, Jay.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll have that changed and say the Jay and the Jayettes will be on College Game Day.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in Dayton right now at the hotel. We're staying right across from Dayton UD Arena, so it's pretty cool. I haven't been here in a number of years, so it's really nice to be back because I used to do the Atlantic 10 was the league I did when I first started with ESPN. So it's kind of an old stomping ground for me.
Just trying to prove yourself as an analyst in basketball, working your way up, and you go back to those A-10 days and. Did you get any feedback on how to get better at being an analyst on TV?
Sure, and a lot of the feedback came from coaches within the league, and there was sort of an ownership feeling that you got in having that league because it wasn't as high profile, obviously, as the ACC or the Big East or the Big Ten, and but back then, Skip Prosser was the coach at Xavier, and Oliver Purnell was here at Dayton. And you had Al Skinner was at Rhode Island, and Rhode Island wound up being they almost went to the Final Four in 1998 when Jim Harris just after Al left for Boston College. So you had great players in the league and really good coaches, and so it was a lot more fun to start out that way. And I still look back on it. I don't know how you look back on the start of your career, but I still look back on it. It was as much fun as I've ever had in the business was that time.
When you, if you set the scene for college basketball, if you were summing up college basketball for somebody who hasn't watched this year, like what would be the number one story in college basketball?
Well, it has been a year of the little guy and a year where we don't have any recognized overwhelming favorites.
And usually you'd have teams like Duke or North Carolina or Kansas or Michigan State where they're beating Kentucky, like say 2015. The story that year was Kentucky can go undefeated; they're that good. And then the other two teams that are going to be in the Final Four, Wisconsin and Duke. And if those three aren't there, then there's been an earthquake or some other catastrophe that's kept that from happening, or a virus that's kept that from happening. This year, I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen or feels like they know. And I think we say that about the NCAA tournament every year. Boy, it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
But this year seems different. It seems more like 2010, where we felt like it was a quote unquote down year, but we didn't really know what was going to happen. And oddly enough, that's when Butler goes to the championship game, and they did that 2 years in a row when we thought, hey, college basketball is a little bit down. And Kansas is the best team I've seen. Dayton's not far off, but outside of that. There is a real feeling, not of anybody can win, because I don't think that's fair. I don't think anybody can win the championship, but more than ever, you get the feeling that, man, anybody can lose. Like anybody can lose in the second round, and I don't usually feel that way.
Well, that it goes back to when you're trying to fill out your brackets and you're trying to pick somebody who can win 6 games.
Yes.
And it's really hard. Kansas is the one team I think could win 6 games. I don't know if there's another team. Baylor, I'm not quite sure. Even my alma mater, like winning 6 games is really difficult because you're going to have 1 or 2 close games where you're going to need a little bit of luck, or somebody's going to hit a big shot. And I don't know if I gave you Kansas and I took the field, or the other way around, what would you do?
I would probably take Kansas, and because they're as close to. There's no sure thing, but they've been the most consistent. They are one of only 2 teams, I believe, that are in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Like this year, more than any other I can remember, you've got a team that's top 5 on offense and they're top 50 on defense. So everybody seems like they've got a hole somewhere, and everyone has shown a vulnerability, and everyone has been beaten by somebody that shouldn't have beaten them, that you believe. And so it's sort of the anybody can lose thing. Like I can see all these teams losing, but there are only about 10 of them, to your point, that I can see, maybe 9, winning 6. Or having the chance to win 6. Obviously, only 4 of them are going to win 4 games, and only 2 of them are going to win 5. But only one wins 6, and I only think there are 9 teams that can do that.
Jay Bilas is joining us from University of Dayton. Tomorrow morning, College Game Day live from UD. They start at 11 a.m. Eastern on the mothership, and then going to Duke. The call of North Carolina Duke, that'll be on Saturday at 6 Eastern on ESPN. We got Roy Williams on next hour, and I'm surprised he's joining us. I mean, this has been a really tough year for Roy Williams. What do you make of that Carolina situation here?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised that he's joining you because he is a stand-up guy, and this has been extraordinarily difficult, I think, for everybody involved to have a year like this. And I know there are a lot of coaches out there saying, "Welcome to the club." This happens to us all the time. But one of the great things about Roy Williams is while it's been frustrating, he has not taken it out on the players. I said pretty early on with Carolina that it's not a vintage Carolina team. It is not like last year where they had a bunch of first round draft picks and Kobe White and Cam Johnson, all that stuff, and they had older players and it was a number 1 seed. It's not that type of team, and was not going to be no matter what. But they've had all these injuries throughout the year. But even with that, I felt like they were far better than they had played. And now, maybe the last 5 games, but especially the last 3, they're starting to play like that. And they've lost a bunch of one-possession games where they're, in years past, they weren't in one-possession games against those teams. But the last 3 games, they're starting to show signs that they're, they can beat anybody. And so that's going to make tomorrow night at Cameron even more interesting. And then it's going to make the ACC tournament interesting for them because they've got to. I think they have to win the tournament. I think everybody agrees with that. They got to win the tournament to make the NCAA tournament. And if they had played this way throughout the course of the season, they wouldn't be, in this situation. They'd be a tournament team. But the impressive thing to me, Dan, about Carolina is, while this has been hard and it would have been easy to quit, their players haven't quit, especially Garrison Brooks. Man, that dude is a stud, and Roy has not quit. He's not quit on them, and he's kept positive with them, and that's really made a positive impression on me.
At what point do you think this coronavirus is going to create a larger concern? I brought this up 2 days ago because I said we don't have that huge sporting event other than the Final Four, where you're going to get 80,000 fans into a building. At what point do you think it's going to be let's get nervous going to a basketball game time?
I don't know. That's way over my pay grade. I mean, I'm not nervous about it. I'm traveling all over the place, and I have had doctor friends of mine saying, hey, when you can drive, you should drive, stuff like that. But I just don't see the need to change the way I'm doing anything other than be a little bit more careful about washing my hands and all that than normal. But and I'm pretty clean, no matter what. You shouldn't feel a problem shaking hands with me. But I don't see the whole, I'm not worried about fist bumping or arm bumping like some of these conferences are saying now after the game. But things can change. So look, I trust the folks at the NCAA. They put on great events and they know how to put on a great event. So I'm sure they'll be vigilant about what's best for everybody.
And when you get a chance, when you go on campus and you see my statue, just take a picture if you want, and maybe stop, admire.
It's funny you say that because I tripped over it the other day.
It's
it's not as
base
large
of
a statue. It's not the base. It's not as large of a statue as you think.
I heard it blocks out the sun.
Well, funny, I think you saw the sort of in-depth reporting I did on your time at Dayton, and it was really funny. Like, I had to explain to the players who are amazing. You got great players here. They were asking, well, when was Dan Patrick here? And I said, well, if you've ever heard of Bing Crosby or watched I Love Lucy,
wow.
I Love Lucy was the top show back then, and Bing Crosby was the number one. That was the time frame, wasn't it? Don May was here as a player, and
Jim Paxson.
Oh, Paxson was there, so that was the 70s. Okay, Don May was the 60s. I thought it was the 60s. Was I mistaken there?
Yeah. Donnie May was in the 60s, Jim Paxson in the 80s.
Okay.
Late 70s, early 80s.
It didn't really matter to the players. They had
okay.
No idea.
I don't know where this I don't know where this came from, Jay. I really don't. I've championed your cause when ESPN was going to get rid of you because you wanted to go work for CBS. I championed your cause. I called George Bodenheimer, and I said, look, Bilas, not much of a player, nothing else going on. Being that lawyer, that hasn't worked out that well. He's lost his hair. I mean, come on. Let's keep him employed. I helped you.
I miss the days when I would come on your show and you would introduce me as the mean-spirited Jay Bilas.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
You're back. I don't know what happened here.
You see, you've lost your edge. You're all nice to me now. You used to bring me. Do you remember this? You used to bring me on. You'd say, "And now the mean-spirited Jay Bilas."
Yes, because you were. I'll get back to that if you want me to.
Yeah, it's nostalgia for me.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. But safe travels. I said if Herb Street would give me his jet, then I would fly in there for tomorrow's show. But I didn't hear back from Herbie.
You clearly didn't see my tweet in response to the Dan Patrick show where I showed the plane that I was going to bring. It was a biplane. I think it was last used in the Great Waldo Pepper.
Well, the Wright brothers are there in Dayton.
I mean, we got everything going on, so it's a shame you're not here.
Well, it'll be great atmosphere. I tell people that there's a reason why they give them the first four in that opening game, because Dayton has had an unbelievable relationship with the NCAA down through the years, and great fan base there. And that's a beautiful building. They do a great job.
Right.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
I'll be watching. I think you're the only one on College Game Day apparently tomorrow. But tune in to see Jay Bilas. Who else is with you? Reese Davis is with you.
Reese Davis, who's the only well-coiffed one. LaFonso Ellis and Seth Greenberg. That is our fabulous bald crew.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, brother. Great to be with you.
That's Jay Bilas joining us from the University of Dayton. We are UD. We'll take a break here. Phone calls coming up, and we'll update our poll results. Roy Williams will join us on the program coming up a little bit. Dan Patrick Show.
Dan, you know the jersey right over your left shoulder,
Yep.
Griffith Jr. 3. Obviously, we know what that's a reference to. Robert Griffith Jr. III, an iconic moment.
Robert Griffith Jr.
It's sort of taken over our show, where there isn't really anybody that we talk about that's not become a Junior the Third.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually hitting mainstream media now as well.
Oh, no.
Which is just wonderful. Go ahead, Mario.
Martin Luther King Jr. III.
Yeah!
It's a little hard to hear.
Martin Luther King Jr. III, trying to keep a man. Thanks, Bill. Martin Luther King Jr. III.
If you can't hear that, he's saying Martin Luther King Jr. the Third.
There's some backstory here.
Now, Bill Hammer is... I'm friends with Bill Hammer.
He's been on this show twice, and he listens to the show.
There you go.
Hammer's a good guy.
Martin Luther King Jr. the Third.
Is he giving you a shout out, or is that he just got tongue tied?
I think there are other ways to give me a shout out.
Keep a man. Thanks, Bill. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's big time, Bill.
He's got to keep it a straight face. He must think there's a Martin Luther King Jr.
That Hammer.
That's
Love Bill
Hammer time.
Martin Luther King Jr. the Third.
Give that guy an Emmy. That's an Emmy award-winning newscast.
Oh, it's like my favorite thing.
Fabulous.
I purposely didn't click on that yesterday when somebody sent that and said Bill Hammer, obviously a Dan Patrick Show fan.
That's great.
Oh. That's the call, courtesy of MSG. 5 goals in the overtime win against the Capitals. Next up for the Rangers, they take on the New Jersey Devils. That is your Discover NHL Play of the Week. You want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year and does so automatically. Discover is accepted at over 95% of places in the United States that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2019 Nielsen report with that data. Limitations apply. Jeff in Detroit back on the program. Hi, Jeff. What do you have for me today?
What's going on, Dan? Yesterday you had a good interview with Coach Carlisle, and you guys were talking about commercial travel in reference to in the NBA. And I just happen to know the co-pilot of Round Ball 1. Round Ball 1 in 1987 was the first jet. Well, the Pistons was one of the first pro teams to have a jet. They got stuck in Seattle on a game one day, and I think this was around 87, 88. And the owner, Bill Davidson, said, I wanted to look into, getting a plane. Came home, talked to Bill, till later on, they, I guess, worked out a deal where the Pistons were like one of the first pro teams with a plane, and they had an uptick in their performance. Everything started going better. And, I mean, think about being George Blaha. You don't have to hop from plane to plane. They had George Blaha was the announcer, and he had his own spot on said plane. And, yeah, man, it was one of those things that you think about, late 80s, early 90s, travel going from state to state and doing it commercially, they must have been hell.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Nobody breaks down Detroit Piston travel like we do on this program. Yeah, nobody.
Remember the buses in the 70s?
Yeah, nobody breaks it down like we do. And thank you, Jeff, for helping us. I saw where several Princeton students wrote an op-ed in the student newspaper criticizing the school's decision to make the former running back Marshawn Lynch the senior Class Day speaker this coming up in June. Not the commencement. This is just Class Day. By the way, Marshawn may still be a running back, an active one, but how about that? He's the Seahawks running back, Marshawn Lynch. Princeton announced that Lynch was the speaker last week, and then the students called out the university's Class Day co-chairs for the selection because they said that they weren't involved in the process here. As seniors, we had been looking forward to the speaker announcement for months. The letter starts. Many of us were disappointed when we saw that this year's speaker was Marshawn Lynch, mainly because we did not feel included in the process there. Now, I think some other people were saying there's other things here. They talked about Marshawn Lynch fined $50,000 one time, $100,000 for refusing to speak to the media. He's also had some touchdown celebration gestures where he's grabbing his crotch. But the Princeton students, at least some of them, are up in arms. Kyle Brandt, who works for Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, and a Princeton grad. I'm not sure they understand how unique Marshawn's perspective is, how revered he is among athletes, and how different his voice is than the ones they hear in their classrooms. It's all valuable. I love the choice. My Class Day speaker was Bill Cosby. I looked at the list here of some of the other speakers, and it's a wide variety. Steve Carell from The Office, Brooke Shields, she graduated from Princeton. Charles Gibson, who was the anchor on World News Tonight, Princeton grad. Katie Couric, Stephen Colbert, Bradley Whitford from The West Wing, Bill Clinton, Chevy Chase, Jon Stewart, Jerry Seinfeld, James Baker. Christopher Nolan, the director who did Inception and The Dark Knight and Memento. You know, when it comes to these things, I don't know if you ever make anybody happy, truly happy with who you have. But if Marshawn Lynch, and I was shocked that Marshawn Lynch does this. Because when I hear him, he doesn't say a whole lot, but I know that he's a very interesting guy. But when I saw that, I was like, all right, good, fine. But it feels like we wanted somebody special. Maybe Marshawn Lynch can tell you something that you don't know instead of somebody who just reiterates what you do know. Yeah, Fritzy.
You'd think he'd be a little skittish on public speaking.
Oh, okay,
like
see what you did with that. All right.
We'll work our way back into it.
No.
Working our way back
Good to have you back. Good to have you back.
Process.
Yeah, it is.
The 180-degree thing.
Yeah. But I don't even remember who my commencement speaker. Now, this isn't even the commencement speaker. This is just the class day speaker. I don't even remember who my commencement speaker was. It probably wasn't in great shape to hear a commencement speech anyway. I mean, like, what? I got to be where? I got to wear what? Roy Williams will join us coming up. Got a big game. Paulie thinks that North Carolina is beating Duke, right?
Yeah.
All in. All right. Final hour coming up.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work. Final hour on this Friday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Once again, if you had the under with Fritzy making it through 3 hours, you're going to lose because he's here for the third hour. Incredible. Every Friday. Fritzy's only going to work Fridays, I think.
It seems like just showing up on once a week. That's just not going to cut it.
Roy Williams, North Carolina head coach, will join us coming up here in a little bit. It was fun to see Steph Curry back in uniform, back in action last night. And it just brings you back to how much fun he is when he's playing. He's healthy. And, you know, they're not going to solve anything this year. It's a really young lineup there. You don't have Clay. And what do you do with that top draft pick that you're going to have? What's the future of this team look like? Will this team be playing for a championship next year? That's what I want to know. Clay comes back. Draymond Green is healthy. They get a draft pick. I don't know about Wiggins. Maybe that's an experiment like D'Angelo Russell was, but it was fun to see him last night where played 27 minutes. He had just one turnover, had 23 points. But you look ahead to next year, and that should be a whole lot of fun in the West because the Lakers will still be formidable. The Clippers will be as well. And, the jury's still out on the Rockets because watching last night, I can give a lot of credit to the perimeter defense of the Clippers, but, man, I got to give a whole lot of blame to the Rockets. They just keep firing up threes. They don't have a plan B. It's feast or famine. They went 7 of 42 from three-point range. And these are guys who are professionals taking three-point shots, including James Harden. But 7 for 42, you're not going to beat elite teams. Now, you might say, that might happen one game during a 7-game series. Because everything that has to do with the Rockets, this experimental small ball, all we want to know is, how does this play out in the playoffs? I don't think there's any other player right now where you go, yeah, but let me wait and see how he does in the playoffs. Now, you can say that about the Greek Freak, but it's still early for him. James Harden, we've said often, well, he's going to be tired when he gets to the postseason. Now we got small ball. What's small ball going to be like? Charles Barkley called them little leprechauns out there. You know, are they a matchup nightmare for another team when they're playing well? Absolutely. But you can have these nights, and you can't have many of these nights if you're in a 7-game series trying to win and, winning 4 games. Yeah, Paul.
And isn't that why the Warriors could cruise for all those years when they had Durant, Curry, and Thompson? 2 of the 3 could have an off night. You have 3 superstars. It doesn't feel like Westbrook's going to have that game where he's 6 for 11 from 3.
Yeah, but he's not taking threes. I don't want him taking threes. But that's my plan B, is to have Russell Westbrook go to the hoop because I don't want everybody shooting threes there. But, by the way, Philadelphia won on the road, McLovin. Beat my Sacramento Kings last night.
I can't believe it. This scrubby team they're putting together isn't half bad. They play okay without their injured stars.
Yeah, they snapped a 9-game road losing streak.
Do I have any reason to be excited headed into the playoffs?
Probably not.
I feel like we talk about the West playoffs a lot, but the East isn't really forming up in any way.
If you petition the NBA and say, can we play all of our games at home, then I think you have a really good shot. But I think that's unlikely that they would sign off on that.
No, that doesn't. Maybe, I don't know.
It feels like Toronto's better than you. Certainly the Bucks are better than you. Miami Heat feels like they can be better than you.
And Celtics.
Oh, yeah, and the Celtics as well. But,
you're banking on your stars playing well, playing together, and not being hurt. I mean, you've got a couple, like the Al Horford experiment went horribly wrong. You thought you were wounding your rival, Boston, by taking Al Horford from them, but you actually hurt your team by adding Al Horford to the lineup.
We should not be allowed to trade with Boston because
No.
we gave them the pick that fell down the table. I heard an argument, by the way, Dan, that this weekend the Bucks Lakers will go a long way to determining the MVP. Like, doesn't that seem pretty myopic?
Yeah, you shouldn't base it off of this, but this is how we react. We're a reactionary sports society where right now it's this question: who would you build around, Luka or Zion? Are the Clippers now the best team in basketball because of what they did to the Rockets last night? And then if the Bucks would lose to the Lakers, then we would go LeBron MVP ? And then if the Lakers lose to the Clippers, then we would say, hey, Kawhi's the best player in basketball. I'm like, this is how this works. It's pretty simple. Look at the Tom Brady stuff. It's all breathlessly reported. Oh, my God. The Titans, they're FaceTiming Mike Vrabel. I'm hearing breaking news sources close to me. The odds for the Niners have gone from 100 to 1 to 12 to 1 to sign Brady. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
When they just got off their phone and they just heard multiple reports saying that teams are interested in Brady.
Yeah.
Like, were you running from?
I know. Yeah. Breathlessly reporting. And I don't have anything to add to this other than somebody who I was shocked last night when I said, who's involved in this Brady situation. And I said, I'm going to say Brady is going to stay. And then I said to this guy, do you want to bet? He said, yes, name it. And I went, oh, I didn't expect that answer here. Yeah, Paul.
Do you think that person would come on the show to do that bet with you, or is it more of a private bet?
I think it's a private bet right now, but I'm guessing this person who is listening now might text me and say, hey, I said that to you last night in a text, or might say, because I think this person might be affiliated with one side of this story, either the Patriots or Brady. And
an insider-ish?
Ish, yes, absolutely. Garrett in South Dakota joins us on today's program. Hi, Garrett.
How you doing, Dan?
Good, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How about this? Minnesota trade with the Patriots for Kirk Cousins and Brady.
Wait, what now?
Having the swap between Brady and Kirk Cousins for Minnesota Vikings and the Patriots.
I'll hang up and listen. I don't think Bill Belichick wants Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins, is Brady that much of an upgrade over Kirk D. Cousins? And Kirk Cousins is expensive. So
yeah, why wouldn't they just give Brady that $11 billion that they're paying Kirk Cousins and save the trade?
Yeah, and keep him. All right. Well, I appreciate that. We say good morning to our radio and TV partners. I don't know if I mentioned this, but youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. You can watch. Yes.
There's a, on the YouTube feed, there's like a chat room sort of to the side.
Yeah.
And right now there's a very heated debate on what those people should be called, what they should call themselves. They're trying to come up with a nickname for themselves. So like one of them was Chat Row because you have front row, back row. They're Chat Row.
Okay.
You have another called Danimals, which is okay.
Okay.
A really good one called the Fanettes.
Ooh.
The Danettes. They're the Fanettes. I like that one.
I like
the Chadettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what's happening right now. There's like a sideshow going on the live YouTube feed.
And I'm all in favor of that. I like the chatter there. I like you talking.
It feels like we're moving on from Dan Nation.
Yeah.
That's kind of old school. That's more of like a attic thing, it feels like.
The locker room.
Yeah, then there was the locker room, and that died in unpleasant death.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of saucy in there sometimes. People get a little saucy.
Oh, I know.
And now we've got the Fanettes.
I like it. I like it. Have fun in there. We love when you're throwing things around. I want to bring back the cheap seats where we have some comments where fans get to have their comments up on the screen while they watch. We actually have somebody's job is to corral comments from our listeners and viewers. But you can watch on YouTube, and also we're on the Fox Sports Radio lineup as well. So Roy Williams will join us coming up. We talked to Demaurice Smith, the head of the NFL Players Association, last hour. He sounded pretty good for a guy who's waiting on a vote. I think that the vote, that this is going to pass. It's going to pass because the majority of the players who don't make millions, they're going to be the ones to say, I'll play an extra game. I need to play the extra game. The stars don't want to play an extra game. And then, as I said to you when I first got this information about the schedule, I said the schedule doesn't change this year. And maybe by 2021 it changes. And then you're going to have the TV deal. We don't even know if 8 home games, 9 road, 8 home, 8 road, and a neutral site. They don't know this stuff yet. They're trying to figure all this stuff out. But in the meantime, we wait for free agency, whatever that means here. Yes, Eden.
Got a new one called the Dan Chat Tricks, which is pretty funny.
That can fly.
Dan Chat Tricks.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue there.
It's a little tougher.
Yeah, it is. I saw this story, and I don't know how this story doesn't end up poorly. The Jets' Quinnen Williams, who I loved coming out of college, he was arrested for criminal possession of a weapon last night. He attempted to board a plane, and he had a gun. He had a Glock pistol with him. I don't know if it was loaded. And he was being processed by police late last night. We don't have any other details here, but Quinnen Williams, he does have a license for the gun in his home state of Alabama, has a permit. But if you're going to bring it on a plane, you can't bring it on the plane. It has to be, there's an actual carrying case for your gun, and it has to be checked. And then New York has their own gun laws here. Go back to Plexico Burress, who, of course, shot himself, but still having a loaded gun. And that cost Plexico Burress dearly. But Quinnen Williams arrested for criminal possession of a weapon as he's boarding a plane. Do you forget about it? Do you go, let me see, I got keys, got my cell phone, got my gun, all the things I'm going to travel?
Or maybe, I wonder if it's somehow, I don't want to speculate, but, putting in your carry-on versus checking your bag if you made a mistake. Because I think if you check your bag, there's regulations where you can. But it has to be locked, unloaded, and checked. And you have to be forthcoming with the airport people and let them know.
I thought that you just had to check it curbside, and it had to be in a special case that is for your gun.
Those are most of the rules that we've seen so far today.
Yeah, man. I've accidentally brought water in through TSA, and then they say you got to pour that out. I forgot that I had my gun. And I always hate when I had a friend who bought me a lighter. And I was on the road. He bought me a beautiful lighter. I go through security, and they go, you can't. And they always treat you like, hey, idiot, you can't have this. And I go, now, if you want to go back out and then you want to mail it to yourself. And I go, God. So I have this friend, and he's going to know now because he lives in California, and he always goes, hey, how's my lighter treating you? And I go, treating me well. So that was 3 years ago, and I lost it without even using it. I just go, oh, God. And then nothing I could do about it. So, Tom, I'm sorry. I lost your lighter, but thank you. It was a wonderful birthday gift. Yes, McLovin.
How close did you come to actually walking out and mailing it?
Only because he had just given this to me the night before. He said, hey, I won't see you for your birthday, but I got you something. Because we were smoking cigars. And you go, I got something for you. And I'm like, all right, give me the lighter. And I'm not even thinking because it's in the container. And I'm thinking, no, it's packaged. And then the guy goes, you can't bring a lighter through. Like, all right, whatever. Yes.
I had that happen with a really small knife. It was only like 2 inches or something like that. It's just small, like that you just keep in your pocket. Yeah. And I would always keep one in my backpack that I take with me. And I left it in there. And the dude was like, this is going off somewhere. And I could have just been like, I don't know, keep scanning it, see what happens kind of thing. But I didn't. I was just like, oh, wait, I might have a knife in there. So they opened it up and showed him right where it is. I was like, oh, dang, I forgot about that. And I was like, but maybe the size or whatever. He's just like, no, yeah, you have to mail it to yourself or just throw it away. And I was like, well, I'm running late for my flight, so I'll just have to throw it away. He was like, okay, cool, no problem. Boom, right in his pocket. Right in his pocket. I was like, well, enjoy the Leatherman, buddy. It's a solid knife. I saw him look at it, give it the once over, and he was just like, right in his pocket. Okay, buddy, see you later.
I've had some moments where I get stopped and then they pull me to the side and then they frisk me. But they do say, sometimes the guys will say, hey, I know you're a celebrity. Do you want to go to the side? And the one time I didn't is one of the most invasive searches I think that you can have in public and there's a guy who's got video of me being searched because I saw him and I went, really? As this guy was patting me down, if you know what I mean. And I was like, oh my God.
But does he at any point know who you are and what you do for a living? Is he like, the Twins, the bullpen is really a disaster. Bend over a little bit.
No, he was touching the Twins. And that was really part of the problem. I went, easy here, man. It's like, yeah. And then, I know he's doing his job, but then I'm not a risk. I don't think he knew who I was. But this guy went through on the other lane. He's taken a video of me. So somebody's got me being frisked, felt up. Yes, McLovin.
Well, and that's the one we know about that's out there. There might be over the years. Who knows?
I've had a couple of them.
Cup checks, certainly.
Well, sometimes I invite them. Like sometimes I'll be like, are you sure you don't want to pat me down there? Rick in Iowa joins us. Hi, Rick. What do you have for me today?
Yeah, 5'10", 220. Hey, I was just wondering what your thoughts are with Tom Brady going to the Raiders and them luring Gronkowski out of retirement so Tom could have the tight end that he's had for the past 10 years.
But don't you have a good tight end on the Raiders?
Well, I know, but it's just someone who's familiar with, with the way he operates and works.
I don't think Gronk is coming back, and thanks for the phone call. Now, look, Brady could end up with the Raiders. Did you see Dana White? Dana White was filming a phone call with Tom Brady to entice him to come to Vegas. And I saw the video, and then you could hear Tom's voice saying, I love you, to Dana White. And I don't know if Tom realized that he was being recorded there. It felt a little awkward. By the way, Dana White, isn't he from Boston? So I don't know how that's going over in his hometown that he's trying to lure Brady away. But he had this video where he was, he was on Skype or something, and he had video of Tom Brady. Let's see. Christian in Maine joins us. Hey, Christian.
What's up, Dan?
Hey, bud.
Just to correct you for a small second there, Dana White's from Maine.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah,
okay.
He's from
Patriot
Poland,
country.
Maine. So I shook the magic 8 ball, and I am scared to death because I know Brady's leaving. He's gone. And all signs point that Marcus Mariota is coming to New England because when Brady leaves, there's a $13 million cap hit that we're going to have to take anyway. Yeah. So we're not trading for Dalton. We're not getting. I mean, all these pipe dreams that people are saying. Well, if he leaves, we're going to get this, and this guy, and we can't even afford Teddy Bridgewater. It's going to be Marcus Mariota. And I was telling Mario or whomever it was that I spoke to before I got on the line that my son's a diehard Titans fan. And he loved Mariota, and he's like, oh, I want Mariota to go to the Patriots now. Now he wants him to go to the Patriots because it's not going to work. And the insufferable truth is that Brady and Vrabel have a great repertoire, and I believe that Vrabel would say to Brady, you can call all the offensive plays. You've got Delaney Walker. We've got Derrick Henry. We'll re-sign Logan Ryan, who was your buddy on the team,
I think the Titans are a real player. I do, and thanks for the phone call, Christian. I'm glad to know that your son is a big Marcus Mariota fan. And I didn't rule out somebody scooping up Mariota, including the Patriots, because you can kind of get him for not nothing, but this is a guy you buy low, sell high, and maybe Belichick can see something in him that could help them as they move forward. But no, I think Tennessee's real. And I think San Francisco's real from this one angle. Kyle Shanahan puts this to rest. John Lynch puts this to rest by saying, we're not trading, we're not signing Tom Brady. We have Jimmy Garoppolo. We're not going to. Jimmy Garoppolo will be our quarterback next season. Nobody said that. Though that's why there's speculation out there that this has some real legs with the Niners. Real legs. And Tennessee as well. Maybe there's a mystery team. That was the latest report. There's a mystery team. I don't know the mystery team. How can you have a report on a mystery team, but then you keep it a mystery about the mystery team? Isn't that the breaking news that I'll tell you the mystery team? Yes, McLovin.
We should keep track of what callers say. We had the Bills last week and Vikings today.
Yeah, I know.
Can we get all 32 eventually?
Yeah. And I would get to Randy in Washington. He's talking about Brady to the Seahawks, so I can't get him yet because I got to take a break. Coach Roy Williams will join us next here on the Dan Patrick Show. More than any item in a man's closet, high-quality pair of cowboy boots actually makes you feel something when you wear them. Just ask Fritzy. Fritzy got all dressed up years ago, bought cowboy boots because he was trying to impress his girlfriend, who's now his wife. You stand taller, walk taller, you feel confident. And when you wear your Tacovas, you don't kick down doors. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted to. Tacovas kept all the traditions worth keeping. The style, for example, more traditional than other Western brands because the timeless classic look is what generations of men who have gone before wore as well. Handsome style, these boots, they have been on many frontiers, and so can you. First pair or next pair, they're made by master bootmakers from the finest quality materials. You can see and feel the craftsmanship and the details of everything Tacovas makes. But where Tacovas did something different is the customer experience. They pass the savings on to you. Find your pair at tacovas.com/DP. Tacovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. This program brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT four-door coupe, because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any interview this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the DP Show app. You can watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG, driving performance. Roy Williams, the only coach all-time with at least 400 wins at two different schools. 418 wins at Kansas and 466 at North Carolina. In fact, no coach has even won 300 games at two different Division I schools. Coach joins us this morning. Coach, how are you?
Well, I've got some news for you, Dan.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's coming back to North Carolina to reinvent himself to be a North Carolina basketball player. He saw our game last weekend.
And he said he could help you?
Said he could help us. Between Jimmy Kimmel standing up on the scorer's table and his receiver saying he's coming back, Tom told me I'm coming back as a college basketball player.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thank you.
You heard it first.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if I'll hear it second, but I did hear it first there. What football team do you follow?
You know, I follow the Panthers a little bit because I love McCaffrey. Ron Rivera was always so great to us. Mr. Richardson, I knew him when I was an assistant, but I really don't follow a lot of teams as much as I do coaches or individuals, but I'll throw you a curveball.
Okay.
My favorite NFL team of all time is the Tennessee Titans because they started as the Houston Oilers, and they had George Blanda and Billy Cannon and Charlie Tovar and Charlie Hennessy. I mean, they had all those guys, and it's the first pro football game I ever saw on TV. And so I've been a Houston Oilers, Earl Campbell fan ever since.
Did you play football in high school?
Nope, quit in the 8th grade because those guys just kept getting bigger, and I wasn't getting any bigger. I weighed a cool 100 pounds as a 9th grader in high school, but after the 8th grade, those guys just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I didn't.
How would you sum up, if somebody didn't see your team play this year, how would you sum up, maybe in one sentence, this season so far?
That I should have continued coaching football and give up basketball. I did coach high school football for 4 years as an assistant, so that's what they would say watching our team this year is that I should have found another vocation.
But do you start to doubt yourself?
Well, I think, Danny, that I've always doubted myself. Every game after the game, I said, God, I should have done this or I should have done that. And I don't know if I can say doubting myself, but I've always questioned myself. And I think probably question yourself during years like this more than you ever do. And so it's a reason that when we do have great years, I really try to spend some time to go back and look and make sure that I look and study things a great deal, even when we have great years, much less what we've been going through this year.
I have to be honest, I was worried about you a little bit this year. And this wasn't health related, but just from afar, I was like, I don't know if you're enjoying yourself. And, there's a challenge there every year for you, for every coach. But I don't know, it got to you a lot more than I thought it would.
Well, I think that I'm lucky because I've never gone through anything like this, but so I've been so lucky. But I do take it personally. I do take it home with me. I do wake up in the middle of the night, and I haven't done as good a job with this team. I think that the way I evaluate my coaching is, did I get the team to play to their potential? Did I get every individual to play to their potential and be able to make good decisions under adversity and to come through under adversity? And I haven't gotten this team to do as well. It's a kind of thing that it still bothers me. I didn't sleep very well last night, so I don't know that I'll start sleeping any better until we start winning more. But we've won 3 in a row, and that makes it better. But I've just never gone through this, and it's been hard. It really has. And but I really sit back a lot of times and think that other people really have some problems, and my problem's not trying to figure out how to get one stop. We've lost 6 games this year that if we had gotten one defensive stop, we could have been 6-0. Instead, we got 0, and so we were 0-6 in those games.
Yeah, and then that would give you 19 wins on the season, and you wouldn't be in the position where you are, where you're going to have to win out to make the tournament. I'm guessing that would be.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Kemba Walker style, and he's the lad. Their team, not just Kemba, but Kemba was sensational. But They won their last 5 to get in the tournament and then won all 6 games in the NCAA tournament. So it can be done. It's not easy, to say the least, but I'll give you the difference in Roy Williams and Coach Dean Smith. There's about 1 million of them, 1 million miles. But my first year as an assistant coach here at North Carolina, we won 5 games where the other team had the last shot to win the game and missed all 5. So we were 5-0 that year. This year we're 0-6. So I told Coach Smith that's really good coaching, and we had a little bit of a chuckle about it a couple of years after that. But there's no chuckling going on in Royville right now.
Who'd you hear from after you dropped the F-bomb after the game against North Carolina or Notre Dame?
Almost no one. It really was. One fellow coach said, "I'm glad you're normal," and I laughed, but I didn't laugh at the time. It's something I shouldn't have done, and it just came out. The question sort of bothered me, and I let that get to me, and it was something I'm not proud of. But I'm not proud of a lot of things I've done. It's just I haven't done it in the front of with microphones in front of me.
He's Roy Williams, North Carolina head coach. Got Duke coming up on Saturday, 3-time national champ. You said you bring your losses home with you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rule where, your wife said, or, somebody says, hey, don't bring that home, or leave it at the door, or,
It's crazy when we win. I tell the guys you enjoy it until midnight, and then we'll start moving ahead. And the losses just they stick with me, Dan. And in fact, the night before I left North Carolina to go to Kansas as the head coach, we had dinner at Coach Smith's house, and he said his biggest worry about me is how hard I took the losses as an assistant, and it gets 1,000,000 times worse as the head coach. And he lowballed it. It's a lot worse than that, but it is. When I was in high school coaching, I thought there were 2 bad things about coaching: having to cut players and losing. And so in college, it's only one. It's just the losing. But I sit back and try to tell myself how lucky I am, and I am. And good gracious, God knows I'm about the luckiest guy you can possibly be. But the losses do go home with me, and it's hard. But it's hard on every coach, and it's. Well, my wife says nobody takes it as hard as I do, and but she has to live through it. But thankfully, this summer will be 47 years, so she's put up with a lot. She just goes to bed, and closes the door, and locks me outside, or whatever she feels like doing.
What's the scouting report on Duke?
Great team, great coach, big inside threat with Vernon Carey, point guard Trey Jones, who's just one of the best leaders in college basketball, who was a really good player last year and has turned into a great player this year. Some talented freshmen like Cassius Stanley, who jumps out of the gym. And what you have to do, in my opinion, Roy Williams, you have to attack. You have to score, because they're going to score. So you better keep scoring. If you have a scoring drought in that game, it's you go home with a sad look on your face.
Surprised at Zion's success in the NBA?
No, not at all. I think I saw him in high school more than any other head coach. Over a 2-year period, I was down there like 13 times, and just thought he was the most amazing specimen I'd ever seen.
How did you lose him?
Yeah.
How did you lose him?
I wish I could find out. If I knew that, I wouldn't have lost him. I would have changed. But no, Duke did a great job. But I tell you what, he did some of the most amazing things in high school that I've ever seen, and yet I've always worried about his knees and his ankles, his lower body, because the guy jumps so high with that amount of weight that there's a collision every time he comes down. And but I just think he's got this air about him that people enjoy him, people like him. He's a very gregarious personality, and jumps higher and plays harder and runs faster than just about anybody that's ever played the game at that size. And he's got to stand the test of time in the NBA, but truly one of the greatest high school players and college players that I've ever seen.
Roy, great to talk to you, and I hope you have fun the rest of the season, and I'm sure that you'll bounce back next season. But
Well, we're going to try to win as many as we can, and then go see if I can make a birdie for a couple of weeks, and then we'll start worrying about next year. We've got a good group coming in, and hopefully I'll do a better job coaching them, Dan.
Thank you, Coach. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, partner.
That's Roy Williams. And you know what? He's put it on himself. Now, he did say this is the least gifted team I've ever coached in the time that I've been back, and that was, I think, after a loss to Georgia Tech. But he's taken ownership of this, but you're seeing some of these coaches who haven't been through this. There are a lot of coaches who go through this every year. It's just Coach K has had some moments this year. Roy's had some moments this year. John Calipari has had some moments this year. Tom Izzo's had moments this year. Jim Boeheim this year. You're just not used to seeing these marquee coaches have meltdowns like this. I mean, Roy dropping an F-bomb, and I went, wait, Roy just dropped an F-bomb there. Coach K calling out the fan base there, saying, stop trolling these kids. They're 18, 19 years of age. You want to question my coaching? Come on into Cameron Indoor and look up to the rafters there. Like, this is sort of uncharted waters for a lot of these Hall of Fame coaches there. I saw this stat. Big Ten is currently projected to get as many as 10 teams into the NCAA tournament. The only conference to ever get 10 or more in the tournament was back in 2011. That was the Big East. Got 11 teams in. The most the Big Ten has had all time is 8 teams, and that was last year. Yeah, Paul.
You know what still bothers me? The Big Ten, it might get 10 teams in the NCAA tournament, but that's not all of the teams in the Big Ten. Come on, man. Big Ten.
I know. Well, you spent all that money on, your logo, and you can't change the Big Ten. How many teams are in the Big Ten?
12-ish?
Is that?
They should just make it that the 10 teams that get in are the only ones that stay, and everybody else is cut.
Boom.
Man.
Yeah.
You get relegated?
You get relegated out. You get relegated to...
Yeah, but that means Rutgers always gets relegated.
Why, is Rutgers not getting in this year?
I don't know.
They're good this year.
No, the Rutgers is good this year.
They are getting in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
They stay in basketball. Football, though,
that's
they're getting
it.
kicked
That's
to the
it.
curb.
Yeah, McLeod.
We get a lot of gear from Nebraska basketball, so we got to keep them in the Big Ten, too. They're in last place.
Yeah, Paul.
There would be a playoff right now between Nebraska and Northwestern for relegation.
Jeez. Yowzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
So Rutgers is making the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's so hard to not make the tournament.
True.
That just means you really stink. No offense.
Nebraska,
because we love you.
Yeah, Paul.
The Big Ten has 8 nationally ranked teams in it, of its 12 teams.
Okay.
Whatever.
The Big Ten has 8 out of their 12 teams.
Wait, am I in drugs? Do they have 14 teams in the Big Ten now? 14. I thought it was 12.
So now we can have our own mini playoff for relegation.
Whether you added Maryland and you added Rutgers. Nebraska. There's another one in there they added, didn't they? Is Missouri in the Big Ten? Yes, McLovin.
You said Maryland, right?
Maryland, Rutgers.
Oh, geez. By the way, so Purdue's not going to make the tournament? They have the one player I know, that 7-foot guy with the sharp hairdo.
Is that Haas?
Yes. Arms.
Haas. There's an umlaut in there, Dan.
Haas. They beat Virginia earlier in the year. They killed Virginia at Purdue, and I went, man, this is a fun team. And ever since then, they have not been good.
Yeah, I have a lot of studying to do to win this bracket.
Now,
college basketball.
I think the more studying you do, the worse you're going to get. Randy in Washington, the aforementioned Randy in Washington, joining us. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Dan. I shall be known as Randy, the voice of reason.
Oh, okay.
So there we go. Okay. Russie is going east. Tommy's coming west. He's going to stop and pick up Gronkowski. So then you got Brady, you got Olsen, you got Gronk, you got 3 young receivers. Marshawn's coming back to help them young guys. Peter's got lots of enthusiasm. Defense is getting better.
Randy, I appreciate the phone call, but the voice of reason, I don't think you've earned that tag. I think Seattle likes Russell Wilson, and I would too, and I would not take Tom Brady over Russell Wilson Jr. III. By the way, on Fox, I don't know if it was yesterday, but Bill Hemmer is one of their anchors.
and he was interviewing somebody, and he said, Seton, can you find that?
Yeah, I can find it.
Okay, because I can take a break.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think Bill Hemmer must listen to this show.
I can confirm Bill Hemmer watches the show. And listens to
okay. Well, I feel bad because he was channeling McLovin yesterday during an interview. We'll have that for you coming up. I'll try to sneak in a couple of Meat Friday songs as well back after this.
remember that time I was standing right there and you almost smashed my face in with the golf club?
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Your backswing and you let go of it?
See, can you stand here? Because I could help. I just saw this the other day. Dan, can you act like you're following through and then hand me the club? And the club went like this. It went whoop, 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 whoop. And right past your face. But you didn't react for another beat or two.
At some point, it's like back there, and that's when I went.
It's on YouTube. I saw it the other day.
Yeah, somebody made a GIF or a GIF or whatever the hell it's
called.
A
meme?
Yeah.
A GIF?
Yeah.
Because I hit such a poor shot.
It's fun to watch.
And
it is fun to watch, yeah.
Yeah, I hit such a poor shot, and then I was like, on the follow-through, like.
Yeah, exactly like that. Just with
but it was a
way
lot
more
faster.
Ferocious.
Because I was
trying to hit you. And then,
Yeah, because you almost had your dream come true.
Yep. Mario sitting out here, and you
finally kicked me to the curb.
There you go.
There you go. It's really amazing it's only happened once.
Oh, God. I mean, that would have cut your head open.
That would have been unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good content.
Great content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could have made a T-shirt out of it.
Yeah, it'd be like Smash Your Face in T-shirt.
Yeah.
Big seller.
Affected by those tornadoes, devastation earlier in the week. This Arcade Fire. Also, Maura Mant, I mentioned this earlier in the week. I worked with her at the mothership, and some of the Danettes worked with her as well. She was really the brains behind, the brilliance behind the ESPYs. And she did other things, documentaries. She had a lot of projects she was involved in, and she passed away suddenly. And there's a memorial coming up a week from today in New York City, so it'll be nice to have a celebration of life with Maura Mant, who passed away. Reggie Miller will join us on the program on Monday. I mentioned Bill Hemmer, who is anchor on Fox News, and he's been on the show a couple of times. Had something where he was doing an interview and then went from the interview to reading something, and apparently he must listen to the show and channel McLovin, because this is what Bill said.
Martin Luther King Jr. III.
I think that's incorrect. Just to be fair to Bill, I mean, I'm assuming it's not Martin Luther King Jr. III. Paulie, did you check?
Confirmed.
Okay.
Just Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. III.
Sal Palantonio did that one time too. Sal Pal did it and didn't even stop. He just went right through the stop sign.
Martin Luther King Jr. III.
Martin Luther King Jr. III.
Oh, McLovin, you got to be proud.
Yep, by influence being felt. By the way, we don't know there is a Martin Luther King III if he was talking about him or Martin Luther King Jr. Robert Griffith Jr. III. Don't forget Henry Ruggs Jr. III.
Jr. III, yes. Yeah, Paulie.
Sal Palantonio actually did it twice in one live shot.
Did he?
He said Russell Wilson Jr.
Yeah, Russell
III.
Wilson Jr. III.
Twice in a live shot, which was one of the best days of our lives.
Oh, and it feels like anybody who has, 2 syllables, first name, 2 syllables, last name. So Baker Mayfield Jr. III. Russell Wilson Jr. III. And then when McLovin gave us Robert Griffith Jr. III.
Robert Griffith Jr. III.
Oh, it's wonderful. It is a Meat Friday. I should play at least one Meat Friday song. This is Zach in Cincinnati with his version of Johnny Cash.
I smell that Traeger coming. It's rolling round the bend. But I ain't seen my meat guys since last Friday, and I'm stuck in Fritzy's prison. These jokes keep dragging on. But DP show keeps a rolling, so suck it hard, back roll. When Shay was just a baby, his mother told him, son, never bet the Cowboys, roommates are no fun. Fritz told some jokes in New York just to watch them die.
Wow.
When I smell that Traeger coming, I hang my head and cry. Sausage!
Well done, Zach. Well done. Played the guitar, singing, and also lyrics. Very, very good. This day in sports history, Paulie.
Couple, Dan. 1983, the USFL made their debut. 1922, Babe Ruth signed a 3-year deal, $52,000 a year. 1970, the Beatles released Let It Be in the UK, one of their last songs. And in 2018, Jeff Bezos was named the world's richest person with $112 billion. Bill Gates went to number 2.
What's Bezos have now?
Checking.
Half that.
I'll check again, and I'll check again.
Yeah, you go through a divorce, and then you lose half, and you're still the richest man in the world. That's when
Is she the richest woman in the world? Not a joke question.
I don't know if she is, but I think she's in the top 5 richest women.
I got $121 billion for Bezos.
That's it?
Well, I think he had a rough week, as we all did.
Well, what did she get? Like 40 billion? Yeah, McLevin.
I think I read that she didn't want to take the full half because it would disrupt the stock market. Does that sound familiar?
Wow.
Because you have to liquidate a bunch of stock to do that?
Like she's getting annual installments, like the lottery helps with taxes or something.
Go around the room what we learned on the program. Todd, what did you learn?
49ers haven't shout down rumors about the interest in Tom Brady because they are, in fact, interested in Tom Brady.
Yeah, they could end this right now. They just say, no, we're not. This is silly. We're not interested in Tom Brady. McLevin?
Demaurice Smith said he could take Goodell in arm wrestling and in MMA, although he finds the ring kind of gross because of the blood.
Seton O'Connor Jr. III.
The Hem Dog is an instant legend on this show.
Bill Hemmer, the Hem Dog. Paulie?
Todd has literally become Friday Fritzy.
Yeah.
I got to try to make it more than once a week.
Yeah. What did I learn, Todd?
Roy Williams once coached high school football for 4 years. His favorite NFL team, the Tennessee Titans.
Tecovas boots are handmade, full-grain leathers by world-class boot makers. Tecovas cuts out the middlemen, sells directly to you at amazing prices. Tecovas, TECOVAS.com/DP. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you Monday.